Well, actually, years ago, before we lived in Dayton, I taught a class in historic preservation at Bowling Green State University. So I knew about those, and it was going to be a massively expensive project. So I just went online and looked into exactly what the requirements were in trying to qualify for those credits so we could get some money back to help us with the renovation. Well, it's the federal government's program, actually. And so you can find the information about it online. But I think one thing that somebody that might be interested in using tax credits would be helpful for them to know is that even though the federal government, through the Park Service, created this program, and it's been around for a long time, is the one, they actually administer the program through the Ohio Historical Society. So everybody that you're working with one-on-one during the project, you're going to be dealing with at the state level, Columbus. And I feel like as far as federal programs go, it is one type of program that's pretty straightforward. So once you find your way to the historic tax credit program and go to the federal site, it'll direct you to the Ohio State Preservation Office, and you just learn about it, and it's really not as complicated as it might seem. Thinking back on things that became little snags along the way, my best advice for somebody getting involved is when you start, you have to take pictures of your property inside and out of absolutely everything. So when you go in the property, you want to take pictures of all four walls of every single room. And the reason I emphasize the picture taking beginning is because it's just so easy to forget something. And then you've done it and you don't have any evidence of what you've done, and that's really what your project is being determined. The money you get is being determined on being able to prove that the things that you did, especially changes, are things that the Ohio State Preservation Officer can approve. And if he doesn't have something to see, the before picture, it's going to be a lot harder. So pictures are everything. And then the second thing I probably would recommend is you feel a little bit insecure maybe at the beginning when you start filling out all the paperwork that they require. There are 3 phases. And it's in the second phase. They first have to approve that your property is significant. And that's usually not that hard if you live in a historic district. You have to write up a little paragraph narrative about the style of the architecture, things like that. That's easy to do. But then you get to the second phase. And it's after you have to hire an architect to do floor plans of both the before and the after. Now I'm guessing there will be some renovators who don't have an after. They're probably just going to go in and just restore everything as is. But in our case, it had been a 4-unit, and some of the floor plans for these apartments, because it has to be an investment property. So you have to have a floor plan and a rental that's going to be able to be used by the tenant that you're going to rent to. So we had to do some pretty significant floor plan changes. So that's the part also that you feel a little insecure about, because all these pictures that you've taken, you have a architectural plan. And then you have your photograph, and you have to label your photograph and number and label them in a way that you transfer the label to the room with an arrow. So you have to be meticulous about that. And so my advice is, you do have to be meticulous, but don't be intimidated. It's not as hard as it seems when you first look at it. Just take the process step by step. They have a good explanation, good examples. When you have questions, call them before you do something that destroys evidence. Yeah, I want to talk about how you get the money in general, because you're getting 2 kinds of funds. And what happened for us at the end, we're all done. We got part 3 approved, so you have to have part 1 approved, then part 2, then part 3. You've got the credit. Now you have to find a tax accountant who knows how to do the credit. And I assumed, that's easy. This program's been around for a long time. The state office or the federal office probably can tell me what I need to do in order to apply for the credits through my taxes. They couldn't even tell me that. It was amazing to me. So then I went to our own personal accountant, because we have rental properties. So your accountant you're using to do your taxes for your rentals should know, right? No, they didn't know either. So again, I'm driving up Linden Avenue to go to Kroger one day, and I see this tax office that I've been passing for 20 years, actually. And I thought, well, I don't have anything to lose. I'm just going to go in here. And I walked in, and they gave me one of their accountants that had been one of the owners of the business. And he sat me down in his office and he goes, well, I don't know how to do that, but Taylor knows how to do it. So they had a young guy, a young tax accountant that was one of their employees, really sharp guy. We hit it off right away. And he took me to Taylor's office, and Taylor, oh yeah, I know. And he went through the whole thing. So we make our appointment with Taylor, and Taylor worked with us for, I'm going to guess on this one, what the amount was, maybe 20 or 30,000. So every year now, Taylor, our accountant, he has to take that pot of money, that amount of money off of your pot that is sitting there that the government has said you have. And so you get all your taxes done, and he takes the part of the pot that takes you down to zero. So each year you're going to have something left over. It might take 5 years for you to use that entire pot. I think it was 20,000. So you have to find somebody that knows how to do that. And so anybody that might be listening now, please call me. Taylor's amazing. And he did some other amazing things with some other properties we had not related to tax credits.